Honestly, what I would love to do is, especially now that we have a metal roof, is collect all the rainwater, not all of it, but maybe all on this side, into a big rain barrel somewhere up there, and then have it piped down to here. IBC totes for my rain water harvesting, and this is what an IBC tote is. And this is what you get from some very, very, very nice neighbors. They don't know what was in this, and since we don't really know, I probably won't use this to water vegetables, but we can use it to water flowers and other things like that. So I'll probably set this up for the rainwater coming off the barn roof. This will be my little guinea pig experiment, so I learn how to do it right before I do it on the house. So these bars come off, I'm gonna take them off and try to get this tank out and cleaned up. Tank came out pretty easy and cleaned a lot of mud, dirt off the bottom and places like that. The only bad thing, it is fairly rusted along this frame, but I don't think that's to where it's not still pretty sound. And I think I can scrape it and spray it with some rust inhibitor and it should be fine. In the tank, I just need to some cleaner and time for the pressure washer. But all in all, it's gonna work pretty good, I think. I do have to either cover this tank with plastic or paint it. Since it's clear, when the sun can get through, you'll get a lot of algae, so I gotta figure that out. Well, leaving the winery with my goat. Awesome. Yeah. Almost as nice as our place, but yeah, just a little shabby. Made it home. Really wasn't that bad a drive. But got 4 300-gallon totes now, plus my tote here that I've painted with various extra spray paint bottles I've had left over and painted the frame. But yep, got them all. They look like to be in pretty good shape. No wine in any of them. Shauna's gonna have that. That's probably a good thing because I'd hate for her to get dunk. And yes, I mean dunk, not drunk. Just something you'll have to ask her about sometime. But basically $60 a piece for 300-gallon food-grade totes. Can't beat it. Project for the day, actually morning, is to get this tote all plumbed up for the water off this roof. At least this is my job until I get in trouble for not doing the things that are a priority. But I'm trying to figure out exactly how to plumb this. I got the gutter up, just a cheap vinyl gutter. Got the tote set. The only problem is this roof is fairly low. It doesn't give me a whole lot of room to run the pipes how I want to run them into the top of the tote. But I've got some ideas. I got this wood here that I'm going to attach to what's called the first flush system to, and then run it off of that into the top. That's my idea, so we'll see how that all works out. All right, I got one part assembled. This is what I call, or what is called, a first flush system, and what that means is when it first rains, all the first water that comes in is washing off the grime, the bird poop, and just whatever junk's on the roof. And it comes down and will come into this pipe first and start to fill this up. And once that gets filled, and then hopefully all the dirt and stuff will stay in there. And then once it gets up to here, and I'll show you how that's gonna work, then it finally will come out here and into my piping, which will run into the tank. So that is the idea of that. And once the rain is done, you just come down here, and there's a cap here you unscrew, which I'm going to design this different. I'm going to put a 90-degree elbow here so I can just unscrew it here. But you unscrew that, and then just all the grimy, dirty water should just go out. And you can buy one of these systems. It doesn't include the pipe, but buy the parts on Amazon. I don't know, but it's like 60, 70, I think. And I'm sure I probably spent 80 in doing mine. But what I'm doing is, and it normally has a ball that floats up. And when it gets to here, it gets stuck in there. So then all the water just goes directly out of there. And you're not kind of recirculating that dirty water. But instead of a ball, I'm using a bottle. So how that works is, here's my bottle, just an empty water bottle. As that water fills up, this should go up here until it gets stuck right there. And then water can't get in more, and it will go out that way. So kind of like that. It'll get stuck like that in that cap. So between that and I've got this screen up here, the screen will just get any leaves and stuff, hopefully catch that. This will get the grimy, smaller stuff. And then hopefully that water will be fairly clean when it goes into there. I just did a first test and it actually worked. That will catch the big stuff. And then my screen already, even though I that roof yesterday, caught a bunch of little stuff. And then I could hear the bottle going up here, and then the water started to come out here, which the water will come out here even without the bottle. But again, that just hopefully seals this part once it's full. And I reached in there, I could feel the bottle in there. And then when I drained this, even though a lot of it went out, this was already in the cap left over. So I mean, there's the grimy dirt trapped in there. So all in all, I mean, a ball still might be better than that bottle, or maybe I need a little bit fatter bottle, but it works. Right, so I have it roughly plumbed in. I know this is glued together yet, but and I probably won't glue it together till I get a good rain, which who knows when that will be. But now I got that running over to a T here and down into a T into the tank. And I'll put a pipe up here above the level of this for a vent somewhere in there and screen that off. And then this will continue down, maybe down, might even put it into there for an overflow. So whenever this fills up, then it will come in, start to keep on flowing down here. So just finish hosing off the roof. That is filling up. I got enough water I put in here. There it goes. Awesome. So that's working. It is going and filling up the tank. Obviously I got some issues. This really needs to be a bigger spout. That's kind of getting over there. But still, as long as I catch most of the water, I guess it doesn't really matter. But it seems to work. I can hear it filling up in there. So my idea here was to screw this fitting on here. And then this would go in there so I could have a spigot. But unfortunately, that for some reason is not fitting on there, and I can't figure out why. So, little lump in the road I got to figure out, but fairly clean bucket. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, I'll do that if I have to. But I'm going to drain out everything that I sprayed on the roof and throw it in my trough for watering the garden so I don't waste this water. But all in all, like pretty clean water. So I had to show you this. We had a very brief but pretty heavy downpour last night, maybe 5 minutes, and I was just curious to see how much water I got. So I put the stick in there, and you can see the mark there. And according to this, I got about 75 gallons of water. So from that brief little rain, got 70 gallons of water. Not too shabby. So I finally have it done, at least as done as I can have it for now. Change that little piece there for my first flush. I got things glued where it needs to be glued. Got my little vent. And this is my overflow, which will go into there. And the biggest news is I found this cam lock to work on this. And that just slides on there, and these two parts clamp together. And then I can turn that on. Got my little faucet spigot. And there we go. Gotta love a good, nice, steady rain. Good for the garden and good for the rain barrel. Now I'm just thinking about all the rain I could be collecting off of that roof, but I'm slow. Real quick update on the rain barrel. From that rain we got yesterday, totally filled up the tote, and that is full. The reason I know that is because my overflow is full and overflowing. So at least I know the overflow works. And so I've got, what, 275 gallons of water there, another 100 gallons of water there. So I think I need another tote or two, which I could easily chain right down the row here. But yeah, everything seems to be working. So at least when I do on the house, I have a good idea of how I want to do them. And when it is full, I actually have pretty decent water pressure. My problem is to get it from here to there. Since there's a little bit of a lift in elevation, I need a pump. Or I need my feet and a bunch of buckets. Good news is you got plenty of water. That trough is pretty full. I'd filled it up the other day from the rain tote, and the rain tote's full. And I do realize the irony of these is that obviously they fill up when it's raining, but when it's raining you don't need to use them to water the garden. So, but that honestly is the whole purpose of having these, is that you can store the water as long as I need to in them, and it won't get all nasty like it does in these, where you get mosquitoes in them, even though I have some mosquito dunks there that are supposed to kill those. But with the sun, they get algae in them and get leaves and pine needles and that kind of stuff. So this you got to use a little bit quicker versus this you can store. So that's going to be the whole purpose of having these. Oh yeah, and also on the water tote, I've been looking for a water pump so I can pump the water through a hose from here to there without having to carry it. And I happened to check on Facebook Marketplace and found a brand new, never used pump that I had been looking at Harbor Freight for less than half the price. So I went and bought that. Haven't tried it out yet because I'd got to wait till that trough over there is empty. And I'll pump probably this trough over there first. So I will show that and see. Hopefully that's going to work. Number one, hopefully the pump works. Sure, it should. It looked like it was brand new. And we'll see if that is a good solution for now. All right, well, it is test out the pump day, the 50% off Harbor Freight pump I picked up. Got it all hooked up here to the water tote. I've got that primed with water. I got a real long hose hooked up, way longer than it needs to be, over to there. But if it will pump through all that, then it will work fine. But I've never turned it on, so hopefully this will even work. Technically, I don't think you're supposed to use an extension cord, but we'll see. It's trying to do something. Let's find out. I'm not burning it up. Trying to come out. So that is a long, long hose. Come on. I hear it, it's just doesn't come through. There we go. Actually a pretty good flow. Boy, if that stays like that, I'll take that all day. A lot easier than carrying about 30 buckets of water over here. So far, so good. It works good. So if you remember, quite a while ago, I got 4 totes, IBC totes from the winery up in the mountains. And believe it or not, I finally have them wrapped, set, hooked up, almost totally hooked up, at least halfway hooked up. I'll explain that in a minute. So yeah, it took a while, but at least we'll collect water if it ever does rain. So what I did is I kind of used this old deck platform, treehouse platform, whatever we call it, and kind of as a shelter, and put all the 4 totes under here. Now to get them all as perfectly level as possible and lined up. So those are all set and wrapped. And this is the one side of the house I'm collecting water from, because all of that and all of that coming through this downspout. It goes in the downspout, goes in what's called a leaf filter, and just any leaves, there's a screen in that, any leaves get caught on that. Then it goes into this, again, this first flush like I showed you on that other rain barrel, and that just gets all the first nasty stuff coming off the roof. So once the first flush pipe fills up, and I'm trying to find a 4-inch ball that will work in there, or otherwise I need a bottle or something. But once it fills up, then the water obviously will flow into this pipe, down there, around here, and into this first tote. And I'm using the principle of physics here. Once the water starts to go into this tote, it will go out into this pipe, which all these totes are connected to. So as this one fills, all of these should fill the same exact amount. So if this one gets to be halfway full, all the other 3 should be halfway full. So that should work. So that's why I say I have half of it up. I got to do the other half over here. So again, the theory behind all this is the water seeks its own level. So it should stay level throughout all 4 totes. As one fills up, they all should fill up. So right now, I mean, they all will fill up based off that one downspout, but I really want to do the same thing on this side, which I haven't gotten to yet. And that way I'm collecting all the rest of the water on from that part above the door to this, to that hip. And I'm gonna do the same exact thing as I did the other side. So it will run into the top of this tote, just like over there. So I'll basically have water just coming in from both sides. So once all that's hooked up, then I'm done. But again, it will collect water now. But I've got an outlet here for just buckets and things, and then over have up to 1 inch of rain tomorrow, maybe, or tonight. I decided to go ahead and finish this side for my rain totes, which I needed to do anyway. So I got that done, which means everything is done and connected. The only thing I have missing in both of these first flush pipes is I need to find 2 3.5 to 4 inch diameter plastic balls that when this fills up, they'll float up and then get jammed right there, and then everything will be sealed in there and the water will continue to run through there. I don't have to have them. The water's still going to overflow into the system, but then you still get some dirt and stuff mixed in. It's just better to seal it. So that's the only thing I'm missing. The last finishing touch I did on it, I have each one vented. Each tote is vented separately. So as they fill up, obviously the air needs to escape, so the air should escape out these tops on all of them. And I made sure that the tops of the vents are higher than this right here, which is my overflow, because I don't want them overflowing out those. So once all these fill up and this starts to get up to here, it should overflow out to here, and this is just kind of temporary for now, and I doubt we're gonna get that much rain, but just in case I have that, I'm not sure, I may vent that or run that maybe into the garden up here for Shauna's flowers later, but not worried about that right now. So everything is done. And of course I have to give an update on my rainwater harvesting system, which is slap full now. The rain we got, it was last Saturday. We got about 1.8 inches of rain and that downpour, and that was enough to fill 1,200 gallons of water up. And since they're full and I'm not really using that water yet, I gotta work on that as far as hooking that up. Instead of just letting it overflow for future rains, I've hooked these little extensions up that go directly into my first flush. So really water will just run directly down, just like a regular downspout, and right out of there. I did that over there too. That way it's just not running through here, overflowing here. But yeah, 1,200 gallons. So to use this water, I got a well pump I got from Harbor Freight, a pressure tank well pump that I want to hook up to this. And then you know, Shauna or whoever, I could do it in my garden over there, could just use it continuously to water all these plants over here or wherever. So I got to figure out how to hook that up. Obviously I got to get power to it, and I want it to be covered up and protected, so I either have to build something around here. I'm tempted to put it in the crawl space here, but then still I have to pipe the water to it and out. So I haven't figured that out yet, but I hate that, like the rain we got last night, which was again about another 1.5 inches. I wasn't able to capture any of that. I know that's really weird, but once you start, you want to get it all. So even without a pump, when these are full, 1,200 gallons of water, it gives a fair amount of pressure. Watch out, Toby. So yeah, even without a pump, it could probably still be used to do some watering. So real quick update on my pump installation. I kind of rigged up the crawl space door here to where this intake pipe will go in here. All I did is I basically shrunk the crawl space door a little bit. I moved this board, or what's equivalent of this board, over to here, and then filled this in, so I just have a little opening here for my pipe, which once I get that permanently put in there, I'll either foam around that or something. And then just trim the door down, crawl space door down to fit, so that everything works like normal. Got the pump sitting in here. That will go in that intake valve right there, and then at the top will come the outtake, which I'll run over maybe to this hole in the brick that's already there and put a spigot there. Nice out here. I need to be outside. And my supplies came in. I had to order to get my pump hooked up here to my totes. So I'm going to work on that. I'll have to cut this off here and redo this whole end. And hopefully I got everything that I need here. Plus I got a little bit of drippage coming from each of my 4 totes here. So I got to pull those off and tighten those up a little bit more. And do this all at one time. And if I have everything and get it done right, I can try out my pump, which hopefully it will work. Alright, so I pulled this whole thing off of the totes, and I unscrewed all of these. Everything else is glued, but these are screwed on. So I unscrewed them, put Teflon tape on them, and screwed them all back on. So hopefully those won't leak. And then this is my contraption to get down from 2-inch pipe to 1-inch pipe. I got a reducer to a T, which I'll show you in a little bit what this is for, which hopefully will be a genius idea. Cut off, and then a 1-inch male fitting here that my hose will hopefully screw on, which will run to my pump. So I dry fit it all together. Now I'm going to glue it all together, get it put back on there, and then we'll see how it goes. I have to admit, it's kind of fun to glue PVC pipe together. If you haven't done it, it's actually pretty simple to do. You got a primer and a glue, and you prime the 2 pieces first. So take that and I prime around here, which is this purple, obviously. And I already primed that and actually glued it because I can't do it with one hand. And then after the primer sits for just a little bit, put on the glue. Like I said, I already did that to this, and then you press it on there and just hold it for just a little bit. And it dries in probably 15 seconds, and then it's ready to go. So it's kind of like a little erector set, which I guess is probably showing my age. Alright, this is the first test of one part of my system here that hopefully works. What I have done is, in this T I was talking about earlier, I put a clear PVC line up here. Capped it off with a screen and just put it up there so it has so it won't fall. And the whole theory behind that is going back to the water finding its own level. I'm going to turn all these totes back on, and if my theory works, the water should fill up to wherever the level of the water is in these tanks should be the same as the level in this pipe. So with this pipe, I will be able to determine the level of the tanks, because with them all covered, you can't do that very easily. So that's my idea. So if I can turn these all on fairly quickly together, have everything else off, we will see if my theory works. And let's see, let it all settle, get the air out, and I don't know if you can see it, but my level is right here. which is exactly the top of all the tanks, which they are all full. I figured they were all full. So I think that works. So that should be my level. I can easily look at that and determine, you know, as these empty, it obviously should be the same level and should go down. So, not just a hat rack. I do think things through sometimes. At least I think it's going to work. Now the only other thing is, and the reason for that is with this being clear and the water and the sun, this would fill with algae real quick. So that's going to be my way to prevent algae from growing. I'll just keep that covered with that foam insulation, and then I can just easily open that up and just look at the level when needed. So I think that works. Now the bigger test will be hooking up this line and seeing if my pump works. Okay, so now is the big test. I got the hose hooked up, got that turned on, I got the pump primed. So all the water should be to this pump. I have not plugged the pump in yet. I'm going to do that now to see if it will run and then come and I can use this spigot. So after all this work and time, we shall see what happens here. Plug in the pump. And here we go. Let it air out of it. Oh, I think it's doing okay. Movement is not shutting off though. Huh. Pump's not working. Well, now you see that things don't always go as planned, which kind of sucks, but I think this is what's happening, and we'll plug this back in. Getting water, and I get water through, plenty of water coming out here if I just leave it running, and if I leave it running, the pump just runs. But it's supposed to cut off, and it's not cutting off. And what I think is happening, go ahead and unplug it, is I think I need what's called a check valve along this line. A check valve is like a pressure valve where it lets water through, but it won't let it go back. And what it seems to be, this pump is somehow, sounds like it's pushing the water back into the tanks there. So that's my best guess. If that doesn't correct it, then I think I have a defective pump or something. And of course, if anybody has any expertise in this and can let me know if what I'm thinking is right or wrong or have any ideas, I'd really appreciate it, because this is a bummer. I put a lot of work into this, and it's going to work one way or the other. So after the pump failure, I had to run to Lowe's and get, this is the check valve, and it's got a little spring in there. It's hard to see, but the water flows in this direction and pushes that stopper open, and then the water, if it tries to go backwards, it closes. It's kind of like a backflow preventer. But it's dark, and I'll do that in the morning. It rained out today, so no thrilling deck building stories. So I had to do a fix the well pump for the water totes story. I did get a check valve. I went ahead and got a metal one instead of the PVC one. That's that metal tube right there. Just installed that, and check this out. Turn the water on. Water the pumpkins here a little bit. And pump will kick on here in a second. And the good news is it kicks off. and holds pressure, so it definitely was needing a check valve. Only problem now, I got a few little aggravating leaks up here in place. I can deal with those leaks. I'll fix that. Good news is the pump works, but 1,200 gallons of water should go a good ways just watering plants. So looking forward to that.